If you ever have low back tightness when you're riding your mountain bike, this video is for you. It can help with pain and tightness. We're going to go over so much here. We're going to cover some anatomy a little bit first, and we're going to go over kind of how the dynamics of riding can play into your back tightness, both when riding and climbing or riding and going downhill. Because those are two different areas that can be causing some of your back tightness, and you might need two different types of exercises to help with those. So first off, when you have back tightness, what actually are you feeling? Is it something that you need to stretch? Is it something that you need to support? How do you know the difference in those? So whenever we talk about back tightness, it a lot of times are the muscles that are surrounding the spine. And those muscles, they are called your erector spinae. Some of them, you may include your quadratus lumborum or your QL. That's another muscle that supports your spine and helps give it some stability there. And so whenever we think about if a muscle is tight, we either think it's overworking, needs to get stronger, it's a little bit weak, or we think that it is guarding something. It's protecting a movement pattern. And that can make it have to overwork as well. And so there's a little bit of a muddy ground there. Most of the times whenever you have some back pain that is associated, then you are usually guarding your spine. And when I say guarding, think about like protection mechanisms. Your body doesn't want to damage your spine because you only have one of it, and it houses your spinal cord. And so it's a very, very necessary thing for your body to be like, ooh, we need to make sure this is not going to get hurt. And so your body protects it naturally. How does it protect it? It prevents movement. It makes sure that it has inherent stability. Is it the most efficient way and the best way of making sure it has stability? Probably not. And that's where you can get some of your back tightness, because those muscles are basically locking down around your spine to help support it, to make sure it doesn't have any funky, weird movements that are going to occur, making sure your spine is going to be safe and uninjured. Another thing when it comes to overworking your spine is that we may need it to just get stronger. But that also means that it may be overworking because it doesn't have the support of some of the other muscles. And so those kind of tie in to the same. And so you may think, oh, my back is just weak. Or you may think, yes, I'm having tightness because I'm guarding. Both of those, as you can see, kind of flow into the same category of we need other muscles to come in and help support your spine, support those muscles. That encompasses your core. And whenever I say your core, what do you think about just inherently? Most people think abs. Well, yes, that's a definite part of your core. Another part of your core are some of your lats, your pelvic floor, your diaphragm. It also includes some of your upper back muscles. These all come together and basically form a can or a cylinder, top, bottom, and surrounding sides of your core. You think of like a core in like a rocket or a bomb or something like that. It's strong, cylinder-like, and it's not going to go anywhere. It is stable. And that's what we want for your spine. We want some stability there. We want it to have ability to ground itself so you can move and have power at other parts. What happens whenever you're riding, say we're riding uphill in this instance, is that, and you're going to do some technical climbing, is that you're trying to put down power into the pedal. Well, if you don't have enough core stability, then you start rocking side to side to counterweight. You counterweight over here, and then you push down the pedal. Or you go to the same side because you're basically doing a crunch towards that side and then pushing down the pedal. So you gain more momentum and more power, strength, to push that pedal down. Both of them, same things. We start either counterbalancing ourselves or we go to that same side, other side. Is that bad? Not necessarily. Is it bad that we have to do it every single time? Yes. You shouldn't have to do it. You should be able to hold still in your core and be able to put your pedal down. Do you need to stay exactly still and never rotate and move your body? No. We need some rotation. We need some flexibility in that. We don't just need to be bracing our core the entire time, which leads into if you're doing long endurance climbs and you're starting to feel back tension. it may mean that you are holding yourself too still. You need movement. Our postures in mountain biking and also in life, we have some that are the more ideal ones. And with our flat back, our open shoulders, letting our chest move. But if we just hold that position the entire time we're riding, and say we have like a 40-minute climb, and you're holding that position for 40 minutes, you think your body's going to be really stoked about that? No. Any posture that is held for too long can then become a bad posture or can have negative effects on your body. So, and you've heard me talk about posture, and I kind of like nail it into your brains that we want that open chest, that flat back, but we need wiggles too. You need to be able to move your body and to adjust and breathe and slouch here and there and open your chest here and there. Like, you need that movement in through your body. And so those all come into play of the ability to use your core functionally to climb. Some of those may need more of an exercise to help your core and your glutes fire a little bit better, because if you're not getting your core to turn on for that stability and you're pouncing back and forth, that is a more side bending movement for your spine, and it may not like that. Again, overworking and or protection of that, because our lowermost part of our spine isn't designed to have that rotational stability or that rotational component back and forth and back and forth and back and forth for a lot of miles or a lot of time on end. Yes, it can move in that area, but it's not meant to sustain that part, and especially not underneath a lot of load. Think about our hips. Our hips are now a ball and socket, and they're made to have that stability as you move in so many different directions. That's why you have hip muscles. Glutes, they're so big and powerful, and we need to use them. That's also why you have hamstrings. Same thing with your quads. All of these things they're strong, powerful, they're movers. And when we look at our spine, we have stability muscles. We have muscles that are really small. They go from just one vertebra to the next vertebra, or multifidus. All of these things, they're meant to hold you stable in different movements, but they're not meant to be big movers. There's not huge power muscles there. They're made for stability, to make sure that your spine is in an optimal position, that you can now use your glutes, use your hips better, or you can use your shoulders better. All of these things, the core needs to have that control. That cylinder, it needs to have that stability. And so a couple of the exercises that are great if you have climbing low back pain and you're wanting to offload it, one of them is just a bridge, a simple bridge where you are pressing down through your feet, you're raising your butt up, you do a slight pelvic tilt back, making sure you're engaging your core, and then raise those hips. That makes you turn on your core. This is more of an abdominal centric exercise where you are controlling that and moving through your hips. I prefer you also doing this more in a either cross leg bridge or a single leg bridge, because that's going to make it more functional towards mountain biking, because we do one side then the other side. We're not doing both of them together. Also, it enables you to see where some of your other weaknesses are when it comes to your stability. Are you keeping your pelvis level when you're doing this? Are you able to control your core? Are you able to push through and do as many reps on one side as the other? Do you have a weaker side? Typically, one of our sides is weaker. It's easier to kind of point out because we see the differences. And so work on that stability, work on that core control in that exercise. Another great exercise for climbing endurance and a little bit more power for some of your technical climbing is a reverse lunge. I love this exercise because you can make it easier or harder based on your abilities. And so whenever you're doing the reverse lunge, if you need to put your knee down on the back, if you need to push with your rear foot a little bit more, then that makes it a little easier. If you want to make it a little bit harder, then keep most of the weight on your front foot. Make it more like a single leg squat and make sure you have that power, because you're going to be coming from the bottom, powering up and really extending that hip. I want you to do these in a more of a hip hinge type reverse lunge versus a straight up and down trunk, because this is going to make it, again, a little bit more mountain biking specific. Also, plug here, I have mountain biking specific workout programs check them out down here. They're the Ride Life Team membership, and it gives you programs that are all about building strength for your actual riding, making sure that you have the core, the hips, everything working together, as well as the mobility to help you feel better on and off your bike. So back to the reverse lunge. As you're doing this reverse lunge, think about that power coming through your hips, and you'll also feel how you want to side bend. Don't allow that side bend to happen. Be nice and straight. Feel the balance that you'll need to have, and it makes your core have to work more. Again, your cylinder of your core, it's making all of that control. Make sure you're breathing through this as well. When it comes to our downhill riding position, if you have tightness that develops there, a lot of times that is because we need to work on our hip hinge. Our hip hinge is basically where our knees are soft, our butt is shifting back, and our chest is coming forward. We are hinging at our hips. And the key is that we're not hinging at our spine. Just like we talked about earlier, the spine is not meant to have that rotation access point through it. It's meant to be straight and for you to hinge at something else. I want a hip hinge through this because our hips are more stable. They're able to hold that load. This also takes a little bit of pressure off of your quads and puts it onto your glutes and your hamstrings. Now, will you still use your quads? Of course you will. But you're not going to be squatting into this downhill riding position, your ready position. You're going to be hip hinging into it. And that's, again, where your butt is shifting back a little bit and your chest is shifting down. If your butt shifts back but your chest doesn't shift down, then you are not getting into that hip hinge. You're not getting into that deadlift-like position. You are going more into a squat-like position where you will use your quads more and where you will also probably fatigue out your low back. Because a lot of times when we get into that position, you arch your low back to keep your chest up because that's what feels a little bit more comfortable. And you're also not able to hold as much stability front to back. This also doesn't make you as safe. If you are in more of a deadlift-like position, you can stop a little bit more safely and you can be in a more aggressive riding stance and be able to hold it for more technical terrain, and you'll feel more confident in general just by changing your position on the bike and being stronger in it. If you're feeling this low back, even when you are in the hip hinge type position, then that's when we need to do even more strengthening for it. And this comes into both overworking and protection guarding, just like we talked about before. Because if you are unable to hold your core to support your back, then it can cause some pain there. So a couple of the exercises that I like for this specific downhill riding tightness that you're getting, one is just even a straight deadlift hip hinge, an RDL. And that's where you're not bending your knees as much, you're bending more your hips, and you're not going down as far. I like this as a lightweight, or you can use a band to help you with that guidance. I love for people as they're learning this to use like a pole or a broomstick to help you understand what's happening to your back. Because a lot of times you're not aware. You're not knowledgeable about what your body is feeling and to what it needs to send to your brain to change or to alter to make it feel better. A lot of times you'll also want to do just a little posterior pelvic tilt, a little bit of a tail tuck. That puts a little bit more use of your core, your obliques, to help wrap around and give your back that a little bit more stability and support. Basically just solidifies your can or your cylinder. Another thing that you can think about is your breath. Are you breathing during this? Are you able to hold that cylinder? Are you able to control your upper body? Are you getting in that nice open chested position, using your lats as well, because those are part of your core, and bringing those shoulder blades down? Even as you're watching this, think about doing a little tail tuck as you're sitting here. Sit up nice and straight to start. Do a little tail tuck, bring your shoulder blades down and back, and feel that difference of your core in that activation. It's not just abs, it's a cylinder as a whole. Again, you can also think about drawing your pelvic floor up and towards your organs as you're doing this. And so just doing RDLs is a great exercise, nice lightweight, to start with, and you're going to be working on endurance here. You want to last the full downhill through this. The other exercise that I love for this type of back pain is a leg reach out. So you'll do that same hip hinge, you'll stand there and balance, and then you'll reach one leg out and back a little bit, driving that leg and working your glutes to help you get that movement pattern. And so you're not only going to be working the glutes of the moving leg, but you're going to be working the glutes of your stance leg as well, because it's holding you there. This is that hold that you are looking for while you're riding. And then one other one that I absolutely love is you can either do this in standing or you can do this in kneeling, but you're just basically weight passing. And that works that rotational component of your core to be able to tolerate either a counter rotation of the weight, or you can actually work on rotating your body through it. I hope this helps. It is a lot of information for you on how to change your back, how to work on that hip hinge, and how to control using your core. Is this the end all be all and for your back? Probably not, but it's a great starting position, and it probably will help a lot if you do these exercises. Or if you need a program to follow, again, check out the Ride Life team, Ride Life membership that's in the description below, and we'll see you there. Bye.